are purely fictional, and any information discussed is purely speculative. Guest opinions are their own, and do not reflect those of anyone else. Where in the Folk is not responsible for content accuracy of any stories that are told, or what people do with these stories. This show is vulgar, sometimes graphic, and due to its content, it should not be viewed by anyone, actually.
Oh, welcome to the Wearing the Folk 106. I hope everybody's having a great weekend. So, I want to get into this little sandwich I bought from the local Mexican place here. I'm still kind of pissed off about it. We went to Mexican a couple weeks ago, and Andy bought this steak sandwich, and it looked delicious. It was so good. She got a pina colada. They brought it out, sparklers and shit were flying. And today we ordered the same thing, and we got like strips of steak, cheese on white bread.
What?
Yeah, I was like, what in the hell is this? They sent us chips. They sent us chips with a sandwich. That makes sense. But yeah, we're pretty pissed off about it. Luckily, if you complain, you get money back on DoorDash. So, hey, Mike, hi, Linda.
Hey, Linda.
Hey, Mike and Linda.
Yeah.
Wow, I'll have to remember that about DoorDash.
Yep.
Maybe somebody just made it, maybe they took your sandwich and made replacement sandwich. They're like, that looks so good, and they just took your sandwich and made something out of white bread.
That's what I think they did. I mean, honestly, the fries were okay, but yeah, I was pretty upset about the sandwich. It didn't even have butter on the bread. Who don't butter the bread? It was ridiculous.
See, it's strange to me to get sandwiches and burgers from Mexican restaurants. Because one of our local ones, it has hamburgers, and one of our grands, every time we go there, he's like, I want a burger. And I'm like, seriously, dude? We're here for Mexican.
This particular one used to serve sushi. So,
oh, wow. Yeah. So it's a fusion Mexican is what you're saying.
Well, I think a lot of times if you eat at places so much too, you just kind of like get tired of the usual, and you're like, you know what? Today I'm going to have a burger.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it.
Speaking of sandwiches, I think Cecil had a funny to get us kicked off.
All right, so this is from my home county. Corbin, Kentucky is a tri-county area. It's Laurel County, Knox County, Whitley County. I'm pretty sure this one is in my county. So police say a theft was made, and the thief made a huge mistake. So this happened on July 30th, so it's a little old. But the worker, when workers came to work on July 31st, the employees at the Subway at the Trademark Shopping Center noticed that the business had been broken into overnight. It showed a single male subject entering the premises through the drive-through window at 2 a.m. He left with both registers, like the register boxes. While there, the store manager says he believes the thief climbed into the ceiling to try to disconnect the video camera system. Genius. He didn't get it done though, but he didn't know how to do it. So he dropped. So later on, about an hour and a half later, he went back to the restaurant. Now, when he went back to the restaurant, he decided to make a sandwich. He went back solely to make a sandwich after he had robbed his place. This time around, he left his phone sitting on the fucking mate table. So they have this. So they have actually been able to trace him through his phone that he left on the mate table.
That's amazing.
Wow. Stupid should hurt.
So they've identified him as Timothy Randolph. So if he's around the area and you guys, maybe somebody might be watching from around here, don't rat him out. Stitches,
Oh, Timothy.
Timbo. I wonder what kind of sandwich he made. Did he make an outlaw?
He had to stack it up. You know what? Subs are even from Subway. instead of a $5 footlong, now you can get a $5 cookie. And subs are like $20. So I'm not hating. Hey,
They
Steve,
got a good deal down here at the one closest to us. 2 footlongs for $15.99.
Wow. But they bitch about the fact that the American diet sucks, but you can get fast food cheaper than you can healthy food, because Subway's relatively, you can get salads and you can get healthy sandwiches. But then you go to McDonald's and they got a $1 menu.
Like when
we're not going to talk about the fact that they're maybe not real food.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say they don't have Spam, but they got Spot stuff as tuna.
That and the bread can't legally be called bread.
Not in it can in America, not in Ireland or anywhere like that. It's a pastry.
Yeah. But and that I've read this book. It's been years ago now, and it talked about the fact that the wheat that we have today has absolutely no nutritional value, compared to what wheat did 100 years ago before they started processing it and the stuff that they do to it. Yeah. And, so like I said, and which of course it causes me problems. If I eat more than just a bite or two of bread, I break out horribly because I've got a sensitivity to it. And I know that it's just all the crap that's in it. I didn't grow up with that kind of sensitivity. So I figure it's just gotten worse and worse as time's gone on.
Right.
And, it doesn't even resemble the original bread.
But bread's one of those things. It's kind of like if you're really lactose intolerant. Like I'm really lactose intolerant, but I'm like, you know what? I'd like to have some ice cream. Like I know what it's going to do.
Oh, me too. Every once in a while. I mean, I love that black bread that they have, or brown bread at Outback Steakhouse.
Oh, yeah.
That crap's phenomenal. But if I eat it, I promise you within 2 days, my back and shoulders and arms are going to be broken out so bad and it takes 2 to 3 months to clear back up once I break out that bad. But like I say, every once in a while, you just go, yeah, I think I'm going to have me a big old thing of naan and call it a day.
It's buttermilk.
You know that old saying, don't you? Anyway, what's the next story?
So I've got a secondary funny here, which is also the weekly not funny, oddly enough. And it is that Nelly, the rapper Nelly, is still living like it's the year 2000. It's nice to know, though, that some things never change. But in some cases, it's not nice, which we'll get to in a minute. So he was arrested this week in St. Louis. He is accused of ecstasy possession and lack of insurance. So I'm assuming it was probably his bus. But the Maryland Heights Police Department confirmed that the rapper, 49, was arrested for failure to appear on an old traffic charge around 5 a.m. after being received by the Highway Patrol and the gaming division at Hollywood Casino. According to the arrest record, his real name, by the way, is Cornell Haynes Jr.
Oh, wow. Never knew that.
But he was initially arrested on a charge of possession of controlled substances for allegedly having 4 ecstasy pills and no insurance. But despite that arrest record, his lawyer claims that he was not charged with drug possession. And his attorney's name is Scott Rosenblum. He claims that, or Rosenblum maybe, any other citizen would have been told to address it and been allowed to go on their way for the insurance, and basically that he didn't have probable cause to search for the ecstasy to begin with. There's a pun here. This is not the hot and hers musician's first brush with the law. He apparently has been faced with multiple sexual assault allegations as recently as 2019, it looks like. But in 2017, he was arrested after a woman named Monique Gray claimed that he had sexually assaulted her on his tour bus. They arrested him on it. He was later released as the investigation continued. He continued to deny those allegations. And in 2019, 2 years later, the prosecutors dropped the case after Monique refused to testify and she did not file any charges. Nellie maintained that it was actually consensual. So again, in 2017 in England, Essex police stopped their investigation. Well, hang on. I guess, I guess they both happened in 2017 and ended in 2019. There was an anonymous woman in England that claimed that he had masturbated in front of her several times after his show. He denied the allegations, and it was eventually dropped again because she refused to testify. So they dropped all the charges. But in 2015, he did get nailed on felony possession charges. And he actually had 100 small Ziploc bags of marijuana, numerous handguns, including a gold 50 cal Desert Eagle.
Oh man,
Wow.
That puts me in mind of the new Deadpool movie.
Yeah. So he was charged with felony possession. He pled guilty to a misdemeanor, and the drug charges were cleared from his record after completing a diversion program. He is currently expecting his first child with Ashanti, who he secretly married in December 2023. And in April 2024, he revealed that they were going to be expecting.
You know what? For him to be from Texas, this is some hillbilly shit to get arrested for. Like, I hear this all
the ecstasy told him he had consent.
That's right.
Because I ain't got no insurance, and they found my ecstasy pill. Like,
yes.
Right.
that is a very redneck thing.
Hey, I had a friend one time. I guess technically we're still friends, but he and this girl were riding around, and he had a record. So, the last thing he wanted was to get caught, for new drug charges. So he just had her put everything in her purse. And when they got there, it's like, oh, I didn't even know she had that. And of course she's like, well, no, he didn't. And because it was inside her purse, he couldn't be charged.
Of course. That's how you do it.
So
the reason I say this is redneck shit is because I went to jail for the exact same thing before. I can say that.
There was a lot of breaking stuff going on today that I was talking to some people about, and Steven actually sent me something before the show that I was like, oh my God. So recently they finally granted some money to the victims in Maui.
Oh, nice.
It was in the tune of billions. They were paying out settlements.
Wow.
And they were expecting to be able to start the rebuild and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So today, the breaking news was that Maui police and the FBI are now warning the people of Maui about bombs that are being placed around the island. This is coincidentally on the 1-year anniversary of the fire that killed all those people. And I just think it's too soon after that settlement, the government settlement.
Yeah.
And then you got the agencies coming out like, oh, actually, you can't start anything because there's bombs all over the island.
Why in the hell are there bombs everywhere?
No context. That's just that's breaking. It's probably breaking right now, like details and stuff.
Yeah, there are very few coincidences in life.
Yeah, well, yeah, multi-billion-dollar settlement or bombs hidden. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And go on and start building your new home and see how quickly it happens to be a bomb where you're at.
Yeah,
they're
that's
saying,
a good point.
They're saying several devices have so far been recovered in Kauai and Pakalani areas and they're IEDs. They look like makeshift bombs.
So it's like Morgana said, they're going to start breaking ground. And the first time, like, imagine they build some of these buildings and someone happens to blow one of them up, then it's not safe to build anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I know you can make a makeshift bomb look out of anything, but does this not look like a stereotypical Hawaii bomb? Like,
yeah.
They had to put the spin on it.
what in the world? Wow. Okay, that's wild. So they're like, yeah, congratulations. Here's your money. Go build. Oh, hold on.
Right.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of bombs made out of coconuts.
That's the only way to do it. It's like, if you're gonna make a bomb in Hawaii, you might as well make it look like the drinks.
Yeah, but they just put tannerite in the coconuts out there.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
So
I mean, that's horrible. I'm sorry. That's
it
not
is
funny.
terrible.
Yeah.
They're totally going to use that as cover to keep them from building back there.
Absolutely. Or let try to force everybody to stick to one little bitty spot that's not popular or that nobody wants.
Yep.
It's like, we haven't seen any over here, so why don't y'all just build your little commune over here, and then we'll buy this off you for pennies on the dollar.
That's exactly what it is. That's 100% what it is. They've been trying to do a land grab this whole time, and they thought, and everybody caught on to it so fast that there was a land grab. They was like, oh, well, we got to do something, so let's give them money. Coconut bombs everywhere. Coconut bomb. We can't do shit here. You got to go inland. Like, that's what it is.
Yes, I completely agree. Another big kind of breaking story from today is that there was a judge that ruled that Google is officially a monopoly, which could lead to definitely some crazy downstream implications because they've had a monopoly for a long time. I don't know whether they just didn't pay off the judge good or what, but how long has Google been a monopoly? 15, 20 years?
A long time. And what's this going to open up? Because anytime there's a new search engine that comes around, Google snatches it up, man. Like DuckDuckGo, I'm pretty sure is owned by Google now.
Yeah.
I don't know about Brave yet, probably.
I would say the back end, like the actual data queries, because all of them now, once you get past like the third page of searches, it just starts repeating itself.
What's going to happen? Because, let's be real, the government uses Google to collect data. They're not going to let this be like a thing. They're going to be like, oh, well, monopoly statutes apply to everybody except Google. Like, that's what's going to happen.
Right. Well, you set that precedent. What about Amazon? What about
see, Google has become a vowel. Not a vowel, shit. A verb.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they're going to use everything they can. It's like Coke. If you live in the South, you do not order a soda. You order a Coke, and the restaurant says what kind.
Yeah,
what restaurant you want to?
It shouldn't surprise anybody that Google's a monopoly, right? I think what should surprise people is they actually ruled that way. They own everything.
Yep.
But to answer your question about Amazon, Walmart,
they could say that. Walmart. Yeah. Are there any others? Why Facebook could say Twitter?
Yeah.
Or Meta?
Yeah.
I just don't think that Facebook and Twitter are the same type.
No.
It's kind of like TikTok and Instagram. Yeah, you do reels on both of them, but it's really totally different type people on it and everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of like the breaking stuff from today that I've been talking to people about. I did put a video in there. I don't know if we want to, even if you don't want to play it, I can describe this video. So it was kind of a follow up to our weather manipulation episode in June. So there was a video that came out of a guy talking about sunflowers, and I thought it was very interesting. And I see you got it queued up. If you want to play it, you can, and then we can talk about it.
Yeah, sure. Let's play the sucker.
Because he's actually very informative. I'm not hearing it. I'm not hearing myself either, and I normally do when you're sharing audio.
Well, I'll go ahead and just redo that then for everybody out there. It's not a ID10T error or nothing. Also, share tab audio. Share.
We're using new old software today, by the way.
Hey, this is a farm boy. I hope this don't get me into trouble. I put up a video that talked about food, and well, it got taken down, and then I appealed it. It got put back up. Then it got taken down, and so I just took it off. Then I reposted the video and give it a different name. And today it got violated, and I got a warning strike, which means the farm boy's account could get banned if I make any more mistakes, lacking authenticity. Well, let me show you something here about authenticity. And you guys tell me what you think about this. Can you see those sunflowers? Sunflowers have a thing called heliotropism. They face the sun and curve their face towards the sun every day, all day, every hour to absorb the sun. Can you see there? Yeah, they got their face turned away from the sun here. Now, if you look up over through there, you can see the beans and the corn and all that kind of stuff. And they don't have much choice. It's either grow straight up or fall down. But these sunflowers have a completely different mechanism. And for some reason, they don't like the sun. Now, I don't know what's causing that, but I'm inclined to say that the very people that took down my videos also might be responsible for this. I don't know that to be the truth, and I have no one to point a finger at. But I do know that these sunflowers are not facing the right direction. This is a farm boy. Let me know what you think about that.
Oh, that's
okay. Per Google, Google AI says that as sunflowers mature, their stems become stiff and woody, which decreases their movement and eventually causes them to stop facing the sun.
I've never heard that before in my life. And for credit, this is Farm Boy Health 4. The number
those
4.
Those didn't look like very mature sunflowers either, though.
Mm-mm. Well, like I said, this is the AI. You know how Google started giving you AI as your first thing? Yeah. That's what that says.
I mean, I've always heard that sunflowers face the sun. Like that's
me too.
As a country gardener.
That's why they're called sunflowers. Because they like the sun.
So that's just another thing. You know, if you didn't attend the weather manipulation episode, we came across their CIA white papers for a sun simulator. And there's a plethora of reasons that they would have a sun simulator. If you haven't watched that episode and you want like a really, really in-depth look into that, go to wherever you're watching, you can go to our catalog, and it is the weather manipulation episode.
What really makes me tripped out about this, I work with people who like, they don't farm per se, but they have huge gardens, you know what I mean? And they were talking the other day, and they said everything that gets direct sunlight is dying in their gardens. But they said everything that's kind of shaded and stuff is thriving.
Well, you hear it from people too, like that the sun burns you now whenever, you know, the color of the sun has changed how many times. We've covered that even in Mandela videos. Mm-hmm. It went from yellow to green to blue to white. Yeah.
But serious, I mean, we've talked about that multiple times. The fact that everything that I've got that is producing this year is in the shade.
Yeah.
Tomatoes don't like the shade. They like the sun. And when we put them in the sun, they just died.
So, I know what they did. They replaced a 65 watt with a 100 watt light bulb. That's what they did.
Yeah. I mean, if you see the design, and there's people with those really powerful Nikon cameras that have pointed at the sun with the special lenses, and it almost looks like a grid. And the way that it's set up in the white papers is almost like what you would see in an LED light, like a flashlight, like a hexagonal grid.
Sorry about that.
But we, keep seeing stuff. Like there was a photographer in Florida that's like, I've been photographing the sunset for 15 years, and she does it for a living.
Yep.
And she was like, people keep telling me that the sun is changing. She's like, I know that for the last ever how many minutes it is that you should be able to look at the sun as it's going down over the horizon. And she's like, it literally burns my eyes, and it's not the right amount of minutes for the time of year it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all the videos where people are seeing two suns, there's been thousands of those videos over the last few months. I think one of them is the sun, and the other one could be the sun simulator.
You ready for a bad joke? You remember that rapper 2 Chainz, don't you?
Yeah.
I think Earth might be trying to get in the rap game, and they're going to call themselves Two Sons.
Two Sons.
But dump.
But there's go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was reading her.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we've been, if you see teeing it up for a while, it's kind of that's hit that high in the last 3 years or so.
Yeah,
the heat was ungodly. My boss the other day, we were on the phone with one of our vendors, and he's in Oregon. He goes, "Oh my God, it's horrible." And we're like, "What?" And he's like, "It's 59 degrees. I didn't bring a sweatshirt with me. I didn't bring pants. All I've got are shorts and t-shirts." I'm like, "I don't even like you right now. So just don't even talk about that." And she goes, "Yeah, because our weather goes from today it's going to be steaming. Tomorrow it's going to be stifling." I mean, there are no, hey, we're going to drop a couple of degrees. It's the actual temperature has been 98 to 100 for weeks. And that's not counting the heat index.
Yeah, that's nuts. So a couple of years ago, you remember that's when the song was really popular, Astronauts in the Ocean or whatever?
No.
It was like a song that everybody was using for their videos. We were talking before the show, and Morgana brought up that there is an ocean in space now that they say,
it's supposed to be larger than all the water on planet Earth.
So there's a lot to unpack there, because there's a conspiracy to begin with that there's fluid in space, like in general. Like that's always been contested.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're saying there's a whole just random ocean just floating around in space.
Feeding a black hole.
Mm-hmm.
Even better. So I don't know. Like we've got a bunch of space news, but sometimes it just feels like they're making stuff up. Like I don't know how else to explain it. Like we can't verify any of it. So they could tell us anything. Like they could tell us they found monkeys, like, shooting dice on Mars or whatever. And we'd have to believe it. Like they could say they were left over from the first shuttles or something. You know what I mean? Like that's where they crash landed. And what? Advanced civilization like Planet of the Apes.
You know what it could be? And this is kind of out there because, I think that if space is real, it's probably water. That ocean and the guy that drifted down to the bottom of the ocean and found a river in the bottom of the ocean. What if it's kind of that same situation? Like it's all water up there, but they found a different kind of water. Like
kind of like a drink that separates.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great thought, actually.
Yeah.
I totally misspoke. It is not larger than all the water on Earth. Well, it is, but it's 140 trillion times all the water on Earth.
So there's like a whole solar system's worth of water just chilling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what? I guess they're saying the black hole is its gravitational source.
Yeah.
But where's the water coming from?
See, that's what I want to know.
Universe has got a spigot somewhere that we don't know about.
And it's leaking badly.
Oh, plumber.
Yeah.
That's
and I think there's a lot of things that, telescopes and stuff like that can see and find. But I mean, I realize a lot of this is theoretical science, but how the hell do you know it's water or that it's feeding a black hole?
So, right. It could be any kind of fluid. Like, how are they testing it? That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I say it feels like they're just making stuff up.
It's 12 billion light years away.
I could understand if they're like an ocean of mystery fluid or whatever. Like, we can just tell it's fluid pretty much.
Right.
Back when I was into the space game too, you got another article here. I hate to derail this one, but what about the life on Venus?
Yeah.
I used to say it all the time. I used to be like, there's life on Venus.
Yeah. Well, and this is different too, right? That like the life on Venus that we know of is a lot different than what this article is saying. Like basically scientists are saying that because they found phosphine on Venus, that there's a 10 to 20% chance that there's life on Venus. And this has been highly contested until confirmation it was last Tuesday. We didn't get to cover that last week because we had so much on the plate.
Yep.
But yeah, Cecil has always said that there's life on Venus. So Cecil called it before 2020.
Genius.
He is like the Simpsons of weird.
Yeah. They also found 3 possible signs of ancient life on a single rock on Mars.
Yeah.
And it says that it's compelling, but there's a bunch of scientists that are in charge from NASA. And they're trying to bring this sample apparently back to the lab on Earth to determine if there really is life.
There's nothing crazy about that. There's no potential chance that there's some kind of crazy virus in that rock.
Exactly.
Like zero.
Okay, well, your boy Elon plans on having a colony on Mars by 2050.
So basically they found long veins of calcium sulfate, a mineral likely deposited by flowing water on this rock. And its presence also bolsters the theory that these craters were once abundant in water and hospitable to life. Also picked up a dozen millimeter-sized blobs on the rock, each surrounded by a black ring in a pattern reminiscent of leopard spots. So, a very, very easily could be bringing back like bacteria. Like imagine Mars used to be like a version of humanity used to live there or something, and they got wiped out by something, and we accidentally bring it.
And it has white blobs with leopard spots.
Yeah.
Well, everything on Mars' surface leads to nuclear annihilation, like everything there. And and the sweetest thing about this is if all this is real, this is present in Venus. There's water feeding a black hole. Mars had water, and they say the one thing that everything needs to create life is water, and water has to have oxygen, to be water. So that water that's just floating around, what's living in that? There's probably wells. Like
yeah. Some kind of, that's a great point actually. And it's so like, how fish will grow to the size of their tank.
Yeah.
Imagine the size of fish in that tank.
Yeah.
That is not a true statement. A fish will grow to the size it is supposed to if the conditions are correct.
I
got chewed out over that, but I like your thought process.
I understand what you're saying. Like, if you throw a goldfish in a pond, it'll only get so big.
That's right.
But if you throw one in the ocean, it would probably still get that big.
Right. My fish got chewed my ass out over that statement one time. So in case he's listening. But no, I here's my question. So do you think if a body of water were out there and it were headed for us, would they even be able to tell?
Well, if they can see water around a black hole, I'm going to say they could at least say that they see it. Like,
have you ever watched Water World? That's what happened.
One of my all-time favorite shows, guy. There was this one on the Science Channel a few years ago called Life After People.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't speculate on what happened to people or anything. It just talked about how much greater the planet would get once we were gone.
Well, think about whenever the pandemic happened. Like, if you believe what they say about the world and stuff, like everything started to heal itself in that short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Like the atmosphere and everything. But
I mean, there's a lot to unpack there too, because your everyday individual person probably isn't going to make that big a difference. But when you stop all of the industrial aspects, like private jets and airlines, that is hilarious, actually.
Does it go clockwise or counterclockwise? Is in the northern or southern?
Ooh, that's a good question.
If you're flushing in space, it would have to go like how light gets sucked into the black hole. The water would have to do the same thing.
So the black hole would technically be the septic tank.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay, I like that.
And then it's probably like warping that water into like, I don't know. Oh, maybe it sends it so far back into the past or something that's how water got on Earth to begin with.
Ooh.
Oh, and that's where all the sludge, they talk about the primordial sludge that created life.
Yeah, it was Landa's black hole toilet is where that's coming from.
I love it.
Copyright wearing the folk.
That is a great theory, actually.
Yes. See,
we
should be running the world.
Yes. Yep.
Or at least the country, damn it. But
so there's one that I have to talk about because it was on the promo. So they put a maglev titanium heart in a live person. And this thing looks crazy. If you can find a picture, Cecil. So for the first time, a fully mechanical heart made by Bivacor, which uses the same technology as high-speed rail lines, has been implanted inside a human being. It marks the first major step in keeping people alive as they wait for heart transplants.
Repo Man.
Yeah, the genetic opera, right? Yeah, that's exactly what I was getting at. And so this, instead of a heartbeat, there's a constant whir of the blood, and it circulates 12 liters a minute.
Wow.
And it circulates so well that an adult male can engage in exercise while having this heart in them.
That's the best one I can find.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. So it looks kind of like a turbo.
It does. Yeah. I need that.
Right.
So, I mean, it's not a permanent solution, but imagine, like, how they're interfacing artificial intelligence with, organ, like human flesh at this point. Imagine if you were able to integrate like human organoids into something like that, and you basically would have a forever heart. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To where your body would accept something like that permanently.
Well, that's like, when people get like pins and stuff in a broken bone. I mean, those stay in there forever.
Yep.
And your body eventually absorbs it in, and wraps tissue around it and everything else. So I would think under the right circumstances, it would do the same thing.
Yeah, with everything they're doing with human organoids in labs right now, they could easily interface that kind of flesh onto something like this to where your body would accept it, and then you would just have a permanent heart. So that brings me to a good maybe question to ask. I know none of us are official scientists. So if you were able to replace all of your organs with permanent organs, well, I guess it would still come down to your brain aging, right?
Yes.
I mean, what makes you think I don't replace my organs quite often?
I'm just like,
I want to know though how much heavier you would be if you had replaced your organs, because that looked like iron and steel.
it's titanium.
Yeah, it's
Well, titanium. So, but like I said, if you throw in 5 or 6 good sized chunks, it's gonna be hard to get around. So they better make that shit pump. I'm sorry, that stuff pump.
Oh, you can say that.
Well, Cecil was being politically correct earlier, so I figured I might ought to.
Oh no, I was just some.
You were being funny.
Yeah.
That's Cecil's official tagline is FUCT. Lando, I'm glad that we're rubbing off on you because you're giving us some great ideas tonight. But so there was that with the heart, and then something I came across is there's potentially another Wounded Knee situation going on with the Navajo Nation. Have you guys heard about that?
No.
So the Navajo Nation plans to block federal highways in Arizona, and they want to put up roadblocks to prevent uranium shipments from entering and going through tribal lands. So they're testing bans now from uranium being transported on those highways. The Navajo president, I cannot pronounce his name. It's Buu, last name Nygren, vowed to carry out the plan to enact roadblocks while the tribe develops regulations over the first major shipments of uranium going through the res in years. Obviously, the higher courts are going to have to tell us who's in the right and who's in the wrong. But in the meantime, you're in the boundaries of the Navajo Nation, and the tribe passed a law in 2012 to ban the transportation of uranium on the res that extends into Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah. The law exempts state and federal highways that Energy Fuels has designated as hauling routes between the Pinyon Plain Mine south of the Grand Canyon, all the way, I guess, to the processing in Blanding, Utah. So the last time this happened, something like this happened, was at the site of Wounded Knee in 1973, which on February 27th in 1973, 200 activists and Lakota supporters seized and occupied the town of Wounded Knee, which was also the site of an 1890 Native American massacre. Their aim was to protest U.S. government's failure to honor treaties and to draw attention to their grievances. So basically, what I mean by the last time is the last time a res really challenged the federal government. It usually doesn't end well. And the U.S. government basically responded by, the last time this happened, they sent U.S. Marshals, FBI, and all the other agencies, and there was a siege. There was frequent exchanges of gunfire. It lasted 71 days. 2 Native Americans were killed. A bunch of people were injured. Negotiations took place intermittently, and there's finally a stand down after 71 days. But just to kind of underscore how serious that is when a res wants to challenge our government, historically does not go well. So that's something that we'll keep a pulse on as it develops and maybe give an update.
I stand with the res. I feel like they should be able to say that they shouldn't be able to roll through there. And I mean, if you go back, everybody knows that they got kind of fucked around. I recently found out that during the Revolutionary War, there was a treaty with Britain that the Native Americans had, that any land past the west of the Appalachians was theirs. And so there's a thought now that Britain intentionally lost to actually break that treaty. Yeah, because they still kept a financial interest.
Well, we did end up bowing to the queen eventually. I guess that's not a terrible theory.
Yeah. So
and I agree with you. I stand behind them 100% because they got very little out of the deal, and what they do have, they should be able to do whatever they want with.
I agree.
Because we still pay taxes to the crown today.
We do. Absolutely.
Which is nuts. But that's a whole other rabbit hole that we could talk about sometime. but yeah, I think, it doesn't matter. Like who cares about the court's opinion on it? Like if they don't want, yeah, exactly. That'd be like if Canada was like, we don't want, you to bring nukes through our country.
Yeah.
And our government was just like, we don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
But it's 100 miles closer if we come through
yeah.
It's like those guys that broke into the federal park a few years ago when people got killed and everything else, and they got back, they got by with it, and they were breaking the law, so leave the people who are doing what they've been given and leave them alone.
That's the big thing, Stephen. They did win in 1913 with the Federal Reserve. If we could go back in time to change one thing, that would reroute all of history. But I think we're at time.
But thank you all for tuning in. Go to Weird Realities Network on YouTube, and it's going to potentially be streaming to Facebook.
I've got a plan.
In a few minutes.
You'll need to send a link to Stephen, probably.
Yes, I did.
Yep.
I did.
I won't be on tonight. I've got to go watch my buddy play. And if you guys like really sad folk country music, go check out Brandon Lee Thompson on Spotify. He's got some stuff out there. It's good stuff. Come back, watch us next week, 7:00. Actually, I think we're doing an episode tomorrow. Totally really wants to do a true crime episode. I'm trying to waver into a conspiracy.
You said it was true crime season. So you tell me something and I'm gonna make it happen.
I'll read the notes. If they're good, we're doing true crime tomorrow. Are we doing it live or are we recording?
Yeah, we'll do it live. If you're interested in true crime, come gossip with us. If
we're doing Charles Brandt. If
you want to, we'd love you guys just for being here. But if you do want to support further, you can buy us a coffee. Any tips we get is literally just going to pay for software. So we're not trying to make money.
Oh, and we haven't been pushing this recently. But if you have an article or something you want us to cover on Friday nights, you can email it to WITF@gmx.com. And we'll check that email and we'll cover that as well. If you want to be a guest, if you want to hop on here and talk some stuff, just let us know. We'll work something out.
Crew Trom,
baby. But yeah, thank you all for watching us. Go watch Weird Awakenings here in a few minutes, and thank you for watching us because we are watching you. And